Some football matches have a unique ability to keep us on the edge of our seats, leaving us wondering what will happen next. These games really resemble Hollywood scripts, drawing us in with their engaging narratives no matter the team we're loyal to. Today, I'm thrilled to show you the 10 most exciting football matches of all time. Whether you're a seasoned football fanatic or just starting your journey into the sport, this video is your ticket to unforgettable moments. And I'll make sure I include matches for all tastes. You'll have goals, you'll have dramatic comebacks, you'll have controversial matches, and a conclusion to enticing rivalries. So without further ado, let's get right into the video. Number 10. Brazil 1, Germany 7 in the 2014 World Cup semi-finals. What better way to start this video than with a fall that was felt all around the world? Brazil came into this World Cup with all the pressure in the world. After all, the last time they hosted the World Cup, they lost against Uruguay in the last match of the tournament, a ghost that the Brazilians had been wanting to destroy for 64 years. The odds were actually on Brazil's side. They hadn't lost a home game since 1975, and the Germans were on the losing side of 3 of the last 4 semi-finals they participated. On the other hand, Brazil couldn't count with Thiago Silva and Neymar, arguably the 2 most important players of that squad. And as the match began, the Brazilians actually attacked a lot, but their defense was not on par, at all. In just 18 minutes, the Germans managed to net 5 goals past Julio Cesar in what seemed like a fever dream for anyone watching live. It was the most surreal thing that I've ever witnessed as a football fan, and I can't even imagine what it must have been like for a Brazilian fan. Even if you don't watch the entire football match, I seriously recommend you to watch the game from minute 10 to minute 30 for the most chaotic football action of all time. Number 9. Italy 3, Brazil 2 in the 1982 World Cup second group stage. Another match, another heartbreak for my Brazilian viewers. This one was perhaps even more depressing because this Brazilian squad was the best team to never win the World Cup. Furthermore, many people marked this game as the moment beautiful football died. The Brazilians were always on the attack, despite only needing a draw to qualify for the semis, while the ever-defensive Italians needed a win. Everyone knew that they were in for a good time because both teams would be pushed out of their comfort zone. However, the Brazilians played like they always did. They attacked relentlessly and paid the price. No team in World Cup history ever garnered so much support from neutral fans as Brazil in this match, as every time they tied the match, the Italians would go up front again. In this day, football changed, and in the process, we got to witness one heck of a match. Number 8. Manchester City 3, QPR 2 in the last game of the Premier League in 2011-2012. Most people only know this game because of the last-minute Aguero goal, but this one has an even greater backstory. Both teams had everything to lose in this match. Man City were in first place, but only due to goal difference, and QPR were still fighting to stay in the Prem. At the end of the first half, the result favored the citizens, as their 1-0 lead would crown them champions and relegate QPR. But Man United was also winning their match against Sunderland, so the citizens needed to keep their foot on the gas during the second half, which of course didn't happen. The pressure was too much, and even though QPR was only playing with 10 players, the Rangers turned the game 2-1 and held it down until the end of regulation time. In the nail-biting final 5 minutes of injury time, Man City pulled off an incredible comeback, scoring 2 quick goals to seal the title for Man United and kickstart their ongoing reign of English football supremacy. Number 7. Manchester United 2, Bayern Munich 1 in the 1999 Champions League final. Continuing on the trend of late match drama, we got one of the most spectacular finishes to a Champions League final. Man United and Bayern Munich collided in the last final of the past millennium, where the stakes couldn't be higher. Both teams were fighting for a treble and looked extremely balanced on paper. It would be Bayern to score first, very early on in the match, and from that point on, they took over and neutralized every Man United attack. However, in a moment of brilliance, Ferguson decided to substitute Sheringham and Solskjaer in, and those same players would go on to score 2 consecutive goals in stoppage time, leaving Bayern completely paralyzed. After this match, the scenes were unreal. On one side, you had an entire team in ecstasy celebrating a win that they thought was impossible to achieve. On the other, you had a group of devastated men that could not believe what just happened. Number 6. Portugal 1, France 0 in the Euro 2016 final. If any Hollywood producers want to pick up a football match and make a movie about it, this one is certainly a strong contender. Coming on to this final having only won a single match during the entire competition, Portugal were the obvious underdogs. France, on the other hand, had been outstanding during the entire tournament and they were playing in home soil. It all got easier for the French when Cristiano Ronaldo had to be substituted early on in the match due to injury. Every Portuguese fan thought that was it. That France was about to slaughter their opponents, but Portugal hanged on, and as the match progressed, France started to become more frustrated, which led to more opportunities to Portugal. Still, luck played a big part in that game. The post denied the goal to Gignac, and Eder scored a long-range shot that nobody saw coming. I have no words to describe the last minutes of the game, as Cristiano was shouting orders to the field, encouraging his teammates to keep possession and running around the touchline even though he was limping. And perhaps the funniest part of it all was CR7 pushing Fernando Santos as the match was about to end. Still, one of the most feel-good matches in football history, unless you're French of course. Number 5. Liverpool 5, Alaves 4 in the 2001 UEFA Cup Final. I know what you're thinking, why was Alaves in a UEFA Cup Final? You see, they weren't world beaters, but they played well as a team and even eliminated Inter Milan on the road to the final. Liverpool were the clear favorites though. They had already won 2 trophies in that season and they were looking to add another cup to their museum against a relative weaker side. What they did not know was how much fight the Spanish team would put up. At the end of the first half, Liverpool led 3-1, but Alaves came back knowing that they had nothing to lose and equalized the match in just 4 minutes. The Reds would get ahead again in the late stages of the game, but Jordi Cruyff tied the game and took it to a golden goal extra time. And just a couple of minutes in, Alaves scored and thought they had won the cup, but the goal was disallowed. And with 4 minutes left to play, it would be a known goal to put Alaves down for good. What a thrilling affair that at first sight looked like an easy win for Liverpool. Number 4, Liverpool 3, AC Milan 3 in the 2005 Champions League final. 4 years later and the stage was much bigger. Liverpool were now fighting for European supremacy, but had a much stronger opponent ahead. Perhaps it was the pressure, perhaps it was simply Milan's brilliance. The fact of the matter is that it only took 1 minute for Maldini to score a great volley, and by the end of the first half, Milan was beating the Reds 3-0. What would follow after was an incredible feat of mental resilience by Liverpool, who, inspired by one of Steven Gerrard's best performances ever, only needed 15 minutes to tie the match. The outcome of this exhilarating final would be decided on penalties, and Jerzy Dudek emerged as the Red savior, denying Shevchenko another Champions League title in what will forever be known as the Miracle of Istanbul. Number 3, Bayern Erdingen 7, Dynamo Dresden 3 in the 1986 European Cup quarter-finals. In a period where Germany was divided, these two teams were the protagonists of a West versus East battle for a spot in the semi-finals of the European Cup. Erdingen had lost in the first leg 2-0 and was once again getting battered 3-1 at halftime. However, Dresden goalkeeper Bernd Jakubowski broke his shoulder and had to be replaced by an unexperienced keeper for the second half. Some people thought the kid might tremble a bit, but there was no way that the more experienced Dynamo Dresden would throw a 4-goal lead away. Nonetheless, Erdingen smelled blood in the water and went on to score 6 goals and advance to the semi-finals of the European Cup, their biggest feat until date, something that many Germans believe it's the greatest football miracle of all time. Number 2, Argentina 3, France 3 in the 2022 World Cup Final. Many people call this football match the game of the century, despite not even being 1 year old, but it's absolutely justified. This was a clash of generations, a clash of continents, and Messi last opportunity to win the World Cup. In order to do so, he had to overcome Mbappe, who practically carried an injury-ridden France by himself to this final. Argentina dominated the majority of the match, but a clutch effort by Mbappe took the game to extra time. Messi broke the deadlock with 10 minutes left to play, but Mbappe tied the game once more. Nobody was willing to surrender, and this save by Martinez is a proof of that. In the end, only penalties separated the two sides, and Argentina claimed their third World Cup title in the most dramatic way possible. Number 1, Italy 4, West Germany 3 in the 1970 World Cup semi-final. If Argentina vs France was the best match of the current century, then Italy vs West Germany takes the crown for the 20th century. This one was a clash between playing styles. The defensive catenaccio versus West Germany's attacking prowess. During almost the entirety of the match, Italy led the game courtesy of an early Boninsenga goal, but the Germans never gave up, so much so that Franz Beckenbauer stayed on the field despite having dislocated his shoulder. That fighting spirit would be rewarded with a 90-minute goal by Schnellinger, which was by itself ironic, since he was a defender who had been playing in Italy for most of his career and had never even scored with his national team. Then came one of the best extra time periods of all time, where 5 goals were scored. The Germans took the lead by Gerd Müller in the first period, but the Italians recovered and promptly took the lead again. Müller would tie the match again with 10 minutes left to play, but while everyone was still showing the replay of that last goal, Rivera scored another goal to seal the win for the Italians. And that is it for the video. There are so many great football matches that you need to know about, so make sure you leave a like so I know you want to watch a part 2 of this video. Leave a comment with your favorite football match of all time, and don't forget to subscribe so you never miss the most interesting football discussions, stories, and top 10 lists. Thank you for watching until the end, I appreciate you, and I will see you soon.